When you think of classic Sonic, it may invoke a lot of emotions, especially in the 3D realm, depending on who you ask, causing maybe joy, excitement, mediocrity, or maybe even anger. But what if? What if I told you there was an iteration of this heralded yet hated blue beast that everyone in unison has cried how perfect it is, yet no one speaks about? Aw yeah. Sonic the Fighters is a game that I put way too much time into when I was younger on the Gems collection. I was like, man, screw the Genesis games. Sonic the Fighters? Yeah, that's my shit. And now, as an enlightened Sonic fan, this game reeks of that 90s classic Sonic aesthetic, also housing my all-time favorite classic Sonic design ever. Coming back to it now, with my brain at least somewhat developed from its prior 5-year-old self, I cannot get enough of this game's style, with just how expressive and beautiful its models, animations, stages, and music are. I don't throw this term around lightly, but this game is peak Blue Rat Soul. As you can just tell, the developers had a lot of care for this franchise, its characters, and its aesthetics, crafting something truly frickin' awesome, and seeing these characters beat the ever-loving shit out of each other still looks great, even in 2021. While of course, this isn't the most complex fighting game on Earth, I just can't help but fall hook, line, and sinker for its charm, style, and easy to pick up and play nature. As a Sonic fan, it's just flat out fun. That being said, today, I figured we'd check out the development and just gush about this awesome game for a bit. So, Sonic the Fighters was developed by Sega's arcade development team, Sega AM2, back in June of 1996. If you haven't heard of AM2 before, they're most famous for their arcade and home console series of Virtua Fighter, Shenmue, among many others, and are actually still alive and kicking, most recently releasing a port of Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown on the PS4 in June of 2021. Anyways, Sonic the Fighters was built off of AM2's other arcade fighting series, Fighting Vipers, which itself was built off of the Big Daddy Virtua Fighter 2 engine off of the Sega Model 2 arcade system board, which actually was created in collaboration with General Electric Aerospace. You know, the same company that developed the United States Air Force F-104 Mach 2 and A-10 Thunderbolt 2, aka the Warthog, fighter jets. This engine, the system board, and well, Virtua Fighter 2 were a big deal back in the day of 1994 in terms of graphics, as this board specifically was the first Sega board to use the Florida-based defense and NASA contractor Lockheed Martin's graphical technology to produce the use of texture map 3D characters, texture filtering, texture anti-aliasing, being able to display 300,000 textured polygons per second at 60 FPS, and also was one of the first pioneers of motion capture animation technology in gaming. This kind of stuff was a big showcase for a game like Virtua Fighter 2. While Fighting Vipers was on the same engine as Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Fighter 2 used the Model 2A CRX board, while Fighting Vipers and as an extension Sonic the Fighters used the SB CRX board, which had a slightly faster processor compared to the prior model. That being said, during development of Fighting Vipers, which would have been around 1994, an unknown AM2 developer, that some sources say was Masashiro Sugiyama, who would actually become the character designer of Sonic the Fighters, but there's nothing to really back this up on, decided to say screw it and throw in our favorite Hedgehog and Fox into the Fighting Vipers codebase to completely demolish all the other characters, like Pepsi Man. Literally just because they were bored. Whoever this mad man or woman is, you are incredibly based. And while neither character would end up being finished or selectable as part of the final roster, if you go into the code of the game, you can actually pull them out and play as them. Granted, they're only palette swaps. This would then catch the eye of AM2 lead developer Yu Suzuki. Suzuki loved this idea of a Sonic fighting game and would pitch it to another head of AM2, being Hiroshi Kataoka, who agreed this was an awesome idea, since Sonic Team was, of course, in charge of licensing their characters in the absolute best ways possible. This idea had to be presented to the head of Sonic Team, Yuji Naka. Kataoka was worried that Naka would not like the idea, but Naka was actually very supportive of it, as Kataoka says here in a OneUp.com interview from 2006. Suzuki-san delivered the Sonic the Fighters idea to me. At first, I was worried because the concept had the Sonic characters beating each other up. I was afraid Naka-san wouldn't like that, but he was actually very receptive to the concept. Naka loved the idea, but was concerned that Sonic would not be able to fight due to his body's proportions. But once a sliver of gameplay was shown to himself and Naoto Oshima, they were very delighted with the smooth animations accomplished by Suzuki's team. As Naka said in an interview with Maximum Magazine back in January of 1996, "I just couldn't think of Sonic as a fighting game. I was worried about whether he could really fight, considering his large head and short arms. I was amazed at how smoothly Sonic moved. We were delighted." Now, one of the biggest difficulties with this game was that, well, at this time, Sonic had never been presented as a full 3D polygonal model in real time before, so they had nothing to base him off of in terms of rendering. So, Naka actually gave Kateoka and Suzuki a Sonic figurine similar to the one on screen to help his team model the character. The AM2 team focused on modeling the characters' faces correctly, so they were instantly recognizable on arcade floors, which they knocked out of the park. Kateoka recalls in the same one-up interview here, "At that point, nobody had yet attempted to present Sonic in 3D, so Sonic the Fighters was his official 3D debut. Naka was very happy to see that. We were worried about rendering Sonic in 3D at first, so Naka-san even gave me a Sonic figurine to work off of." Once this hurdle was passed, development began to roll along quite smoothly, with sneak peek previews of prototypes from the game also appearing in magazines. It's interesting, as some of the prototypes showed off an early version of the first stage, South Island, being a lot more akin to Green Hill Zone in terms of design and aesthetics. While researching for this video, I saw this little bit from a 1996 magazine and just had to share it. Yeah, this certainly didn't age well. One of the big mechanics of the game, being the barrier system, was also added to compensate for the small arms that characters use for traditional blocking, along with the team exploring the option of dropped rings being able to be picked up as a health item or barrier replenishment system, but that of course was dropped. As Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and some deep lore pics of Fang and Espio were then revealed, Naka personally asked the team to create brand new characters for the last two player slots, resulting in Bean the Dynamite and Bark the Polar Bear. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into these guys, as maybe in the future I'll cover them in their own video, but Bean's design was inspired by the lead character of the 1989 Sega arcade game, Dynamite Ducks. And while Bark didn't really have any notable inspirations like that, we do get to see both of these new guys in action from the showcase build of the game from the 1996 AOU show, where Bean looks pretty similar to his final design, and Bark is just a white blob. Along with the infamous addition of Honey the Cat, who never saw the light of day for the final release, but years later, hackers found her hidden in the game files, which Kateoka believed was slipped in on purpose. She, along with Metal Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, were added to the roster in the Xbox arcade re-release of the game in 2012. There's actually this really neat webpage Sega put up from December 24th, 1996, according to the Wayback Machine, discussing all the characters and new additions. Kinda cool. Anyways, speaking of releases, the game would release in June and July of 1996 on arcade machines, and then later on would get bundled into the Sonic Gems collection in 2005, along with the previously mentioned Xbox arcade release in 2012. I played this game a lot on both the Gems and Xbox arcade releases back in the day. A 1996 to 1997 Sega Saturn port was also in the works, but fell through as according to Yojiro Ogawa of Sonic Team. It was very hard to reproduce a similar experience to the arcade version, which he felt they were able to accomplish later on in the Gems Collection re-release. Most recently, a fully playable version of the game got included in Yakuza Lost Judgment at the in-game arcade too. I just wanted to take a second to just gush over the art style and music of this game, cause god dang is it good. I just love how detailed and gorgeous these stages are, while also retaining that Sonic in-universe feel with the stages based off of Ice Cap, Mushroom Hill, Flying Battery, or Wing Fortress. I can never really tell, you name it. One of my favorites is the Flying Carpet stage, as if you look in the background, there's actually a Sphinx pyramid with Sonic's head on it. Just little touches like this are just so cool to me. I'm also a really big fan of Canyon Cruise, as you're fighting on this moving yacht, and depending on where you are, it actually has dynamic environments with shadows overcasting it in certain areas to simulate the boat moving past a cliff or waterfall. And oh my lord, do not get me started on the animations. Not only are the characters' animations as smooth as butter, but they're so expressive, having different faces and reactions for pretty much everything move-wise in game. It is amazing. Suzuki actually spoke about the animations in the official Sega Saturn Magazine, saying, We have made a number of Sonic works, and the sprite we have used has 256 patterns of animation. I was amazed at how smoothly Sonic moves. I'm no animator or anything, but 256 patterns of animation sure does sound like a lot. If you're into all that animation stuff, there's actually a fully readable PDF of the patent for the squash and stretch mechanics in the game. It's on Sonic Retro and I'll link it in the description. I'm not gonna act like I know what any of that means, cause I don't, but I sure do know that that game looks damn good. I'm also an absolute fiend for these low poly models, and it being my absolute favorite classic Sonic model. Since this was prior to Sonic Adventure, it's super cool seeing Amy in her classic design, and also seeing Espio and Fang there too. I also love how each character has their own unique yet familiar moveset. And granted, this isn't anything groundbreaking per se, especially in a fighting game, but since it's Sonic, it's freaking awesome. I mean, look how adorable Tails looks while he's beating the absolute shit out of Knuckles here. Brings a tear to my eye every time. Or the classic Sonic 2 pose Sonic gives when finishing a stage. What about Knuckles' trolly laugh from Sonic 3K as one of the taunts post-game? What about this amazing Metal Sonic design, and that weird rocket design from the intro? I also love when he gets hit, his eyes say damage. Alright, if I haven't convinced you yet about how awesome this game is, how about Super Sonic's first 3D appearance? Or what about this awesome looking Tails rocket ship and the Death Egg too? And my last thing on this laundry list of things I just love about this game, as they even gave an in-game reason as to why you have to fight the character you play as. Man, I just love the little stuff like this, and it just totally shows the devs had love for this series. And all this little stuff and details just give this game so much soul in my opinion, and it forms its own unique identity in the series because of stuff like this. The character designer for this game, as previously mentioned, was Masashiro Sugiyama, while the stage designers were Yasuko Suzuki and Wataru Kawashima. This was their only involvement with the Sonic series, and they hit an absolute home run in my book. Oh, and did I mention the music? Yes sir, this stuff is straight classic Sonic euphoria right here. The sound designer and composer was Maki Morrow, and she absolutely killed it in this soundtrack. Literally every song from the opening track up till the credits roll is a banger. My favorite is definitely Aurora Icefield and Death Egg's Eye, which I'll play a bit here. A special mention also goes out to the Sunset Town bonus track, which is theorized to be what Honey the Cat stage would have been. I also love how all these songs have these really dramatic sub-names to them, like Death Egg's Eye, Never Let Go, Ending Theme, Take Me Away, or Mushroom Hill, Come On Mr. Sonic. The music was built on the Model 2's 16-bit PCM, Sega 315-5560 custom multi-PCM sound chip, that was a lot to say, and much like the Genesis games being limited by the hardware aspects, but still producing phenomenal music, Sonic the Fighters does the same. Its tracks are absolutely killer and feel right at home in the Sonic franchise and deserve some more praise in my opinion. Anyways guys, that's going to be it for this video. I absolutely adore this game, and it's a super fun time to pop in and play every once in a while. Of course, not being a super deep fighting game, but for a Sonic fan, it's a lot of fun. And I don't see anyone talk about this game online. And while it may be anecdotal, I personally think it needs some more love, and I hope after watching this, you go try it out yourself if you haven't played it. Or if you have, hopefully you'll pop in and play it for a few rounds just to experience its awesomeness again. It's a shame as we haven't gotten an official Sonic fighting game since this and Sonic Battle, but that's stranded on the Game Boy, and in my opinion, the Sonic series' large cast of characters would be perfect for it. Sonic Smackdown does look pretty promising though. Basically, in short, go play Sonic the Fighters, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.